Okay, welcome everybody to the Coffee and a Weather Map with Jeff. Although this evening version is coffee and or beer and a weather map with Jeff, as it is the evening, and typically, unless I was going in on a mid shift, which I wouldn't be doing this then, I would have this as uh, it's evening. So anyway, um, we are going to get started here. Let me select the right things here to get started with. And I am going to transition over, and I'm initially going to show you this map before I analyze it. But we've got the incoming storm. If you've been looking at the weather at all today in Gaylord, it was beautiful blue sky. You can see a picture on my Facebook in there with Mary and I and a friend of ours who we had just done a 2 mile walk in our area. It was a little chilly, but it wasn't terrible. But we've got this storm coming in, and I'm going to briefly move it out of the way. We're going to cover a little bit of that. Come on. There we go. Cover a little bit of that here for a second before I go and do the actual analysis. But it just based off of what I saw on that map, it's a pretty well-developed low, as the models were kind of showing that it would be. And we'll get into the details there of the map. My guess is that they're handling it pretty well. Now, what I've noticed was that after they issued the watch yesterday, this is what I was kind of expecting. Although I expected more of an advisory across this based off of 2 days ago when I was looking at the computer models for this. Looking at the new computer model data that just came out, and at 8 o'clock this morning and at 2 p.m. this afternoon, the weather look in my mind earlier, it looked like it was going to be an advisory. Now we've actually have some ice storm warning potential. So the watch that came out yesterday was probably a good thing, because now we do have a defined ice storm warning. And we're going to take a look at the text product here for a second. So we have expecting significant icing. So for Antrim, Otsego, Crawford, Charlevoix. So that's one segment. And yes, and then the next segment goes Grand Traverse, Kalkaska, Wexford, Masaki, and Roscommon. Probably all due to timing. Yes. So what? Significant icing, which is what we have on both of these. Total snow accumulations of up to 1 inch. Okay, not that big of a deal. Ice accumulations around a quarter of an inch. Now, if you don't know anything about the Weather Service and our definitions, this is where an ice storm warning is warranted, is anytime the ice accumulates over a quarter of an inch. So that's what some of this computer model data that I saw earlier today was going on. The 18Z, the 2 p.m. computer models, as we call them, the off hours, because there's no upper air data that goes into them except for like the radar wind profiles and more satellite data. But usually they handle things pretty well. Anyway, so I saw that there's this trend of putting more than a quarter inch of ice over us now. So that is an issue. And like I told people in the past, sometimes I don't even trust my forecasts out past 3 days. So you can see where we've gone from what I looked at and saw and get ice amounts for, a tenth or 1500ths, maybe to 2/10 in some spots. Now we're looking at a quarter inch. And the thing is that with the winds gusting as high as 35 miles an hour, that's a problem, because that could cause, like the impacts say, power outages, tree damage are possible. The weight of the ice on trees and power lines is enough that when the winds start swaying everything in the wind, it's easy for them to break under the extra stress. So the reason that the two segments here for the ice storm warning is one starts at 11 p.m. this evening and goes till noon on Wednesday. And that's the one that's a little west of our area. So that's Grand Traverse, Kalkaska, Wexford, Masaki, Roscommon. Antrim, Otsego, Crawford, and Charlevoix are all at 1 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that was what I did notice on the some of the models here earlier this afternoon. That's what the idea was, is that we probably wouldn't see it until almost 1 a.m. before the first bit of freezing rain would get started. We might see a little bit of snow on the front end of this. Like we said, we have 1 inch of total snow accumulation, and that's probably right here on the front end as everything comes in. We will see how this goes and plays out. And just looking at the map again, we've got almost the same sort of setup that we had about a week and a half ago ish. We had, let's see, looks like Bel Air at 39 degrees at 8 o'clock with a dew point of 12. And the same thing's going on down at, I think, Ludington with 38 over 12. So that's a lot of dry air. And when you get that much dry air and you start putting any precipitation into it, it starts to cool due to the evaporation of that precipitation in the layer. And as it does that, you can end up with, at first, some snow, but then what you end up with is that it will start to warm, the temperatures will start to warm up enough aloft and get back to where it was supposed to be, that you end up with then the freezing rain, which is what we're expecting coming up here. So, let's see. So that's this part. Oh yeah, just go back. So to kind of take a look at the graphics that the office is putting out, we are expecting a fair amount of rain. So let's see here. We'll just take a look at the top news story of the day off of our website. Messy wintry weather tonight through Wednesday morning, up to a 1/4 inch in northern lower Michigan, and anywhere from 1/10 to 2/10 in eastern upper Michigan. Highest wind gusts. Well, we have areas that are still going to be in the, up near 35 miles an hour. Most of the areas off to the east look like they're going to be around 30-ish. So that's where the advisory is. So this is the concern across most of the area. So let's go back and we can take a little bit more look at the tabs. So we have icy roads late tonight into Wednesday for the tab on the first tab here. And we just saw this graphic. That was the one on the top news story of the day. Long duration, messy storm system late tonight continues through early Friday. Initial brief period of snow and ice precedes transition to freezing rain before precipitation turns to all rain southwest to northeast across northern Michigan during the day on Wednesday. Gusty southeast winds will combine with the icing and could cause sporadic power outages. So we did mention the rain. It is going to rain. Starting in the afternoon, everything should start to be warming up enough that we're going to get another 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of just rain. And so anything that's on the ground will probably melt pretty quickly after that once we start warming up. And then overnight that night, we get another 1/2 to 1 inch, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Thursday. So some places could get, another 1.25 inches. It's probably good that it's not so much in the southeast counties. That has been a problem down there ever since the Edenville Dam and Secord Dam. I can't remember which ones. There was 2 dams in Gladwin County that gave way on the Tittabawassee a couple years ago. And so now we've got this. Then it ended up overtopping, but it didn't. Edenville didn't give way. That's right. But yes, it did. But it did. All the water went downstream and it went and flooded out Midland. So that is an issue. Looks like most of the rain should be over in our area. Now that doesn't mean like the Manistee River out here in western Wexford County might not go over flood stage. It got really close on this last one. It is dam controlled, but sometimes when you put that much water into it, it can be a problem. The thing is, I think most of the snow south of M72, so basically this line, is pretty much off the ground now with all the nice weather and the rain that we've had in the past. If they had anything, it's been a trace on the ground at any particular time. Then after this low pressure goes through, then we get it cold enough that we're going to continue with some snow Thursday and Thursday night. Looks like it's primarily in the lake effect zones for the northwest or northwest area. So that basically runs from just a little bit west of Traverse City all the way up into the Petoskey, just a little bit short of Sheboygan, probably like near Toppinabee or something like that. We'll get some snow in there, and then the Upper Peninsula, anywhere from Sault Ste. Marie onto the west into Marquette's area. And so those are some of the issues then. And then our temperatures continue the roller coaster. Up here near normal is right in here about the lower 40s. So we're up and down through most of that time period. So just to get that out there. Weather and hazards. Oh, that's this thing. Oh, okay. Oh, I know where I wanted to go with this. All right, so we get back off of there. And just to reiterate the point, here's the accumulating accumulating ice and possible flooding with the DSS packet that was on the website. We've already talked about the ice warning and that there's a winter weather advisory for ice as well, but a little less in those areas. Accumulating ice and possible flooding are the issues. Areas impacted pretty much anywhere in northern lower and eastern upper Michigan are going to be impacted with one thing or another. I've already talked about the timing and the duration of both of these events. And here's the ice accumulation. So tonight, when it arrives, anywhere from 11 o'clock down here in the Manistee, Traverse City area to the Gaylord area, which could be sometime after around 1 a.m. ish. And then that's going to continue on until about 2 ish in this area in the afternoon. And then, so that gives us a total, what is that? Let's say tonight through, so that's probably from 8 p.m. Tonight until 2 p.m. on Wednesday. So we're looking at a 18-hour period for the total ice accumulation, which you see by the red streaks that we're expecting a quarter to a half inch in some areas. Now, probably not a half, probably like 2.6 or like 3/10. It's still, though, anything over a quarter inch, like I said before, is an issue to watch out for. So that, and then this was their idea of the radar imagery. There we go. Tonight, between 11 and 1, and then 5 to 7, we should be well into the ice down in this area. Then 10 to noon, you can see that the radar echoes are supposed to change to green, which is just straight plain rain with the still some ice and snow up to the north and east. Wind gusts, we talked about those. Rainfall forecast. So this breaks it out. So the 18-hour forecast for precipitation starting from 8 o'clock, so now through 8 a.m. Thursday. So that is a 36-hour time frame. 2 p.m. to 8 a.m. and then tonight through 2 p.m. So this is kind of where we're expecting most of the liquid to be. And most of it will be on the west side, and it's anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2 inches in some places. And then to the east, it looks like 1 to 1.5 inches. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll see where the low track is the main question. When you get a system that gets this wound up, this can be a problem. Okay, so I'm going to come here to this map, and then we're going to kick it over to the Weather Prediction Center. And what I'm going to do with the Weather Prediction Center is we're going to wait on that and talk about it after I get done doing this map, which I got to work last night after all that. If you were on last night, you heard me complaining about the problem. So far, no comments. I do have... Oh, I had a notification on Facebook for something else, so that's what I don't need to worry about. All right, so with that, let me get my reading glasses on and pull this microphone down. Okay, sometimes when you get a nice big wound up storm like this, it's actually a little bit easier to find the lowest pressure. In this case, it's out in Nebraska. And you can see this 990, 987, 988.3. So this 987.7, it looks to be like the lowest pressure there, which means the low is probably, and then you can see all the winds are pointing in towards the low. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pick out some, like I said, this is one of the things I like to do sometimes is find the low center first and put the big L there. And then we're going to zoom back out. We're going to go change back to the black marker, the pen here, so that I can then go from there. So at 98, and we'll do this with every 2 millibars like I typically do. We'll see, hopefully everything won't get too out of the hand. So with the 98, right about in here, and then 990. .92. So in some ways, I think I've said this before. Oh, maybe not. Doing some of these much stronger storms in some ways is easier on the analysis because you can find a distinct low and then you can go from there. Okay, so we're at 98, 9. It's not 98. That was 88, 90, 92. All right, so 94. Okay. What you don't see is that I can zoom in and out on my tablet, so I can see where some of this stuff is. 4. There you go. So 96. Okay. And there's always pros and cons to everything, as I like to tell people sometimes. And one of the cons on being able to zoom in is that you forget that part of the area that you're trying to analyze may actually be off the map, or not off the map, off the area on your screen where you're trying to do this at. All right, so there we go. 994, 990. Let's see, that was the 92. Oh, I just noticed something. So this here is 992, and this is 991. So there's another low, another isobar that can be drawn right in this area. So there's another more trough, probably that, if I remember right from yesterday's maps, that there was a couple of small low centers that hadn't quite gotten themselves together. I think there's one that's going along that's along the front. This one here is the big low. This is the one that we're paying the most attention to. So, all right. So 96. So 98 looks to be about in here. And then it comes up. It stays below the 995. 999. And then 1,000. So double O's. And then O2. And this is, like I said, the winds are going to be pretty decent on this. It's not the highest I've ever seen with some of these storms. 4. Oops. All right. Oh 06. Looks like that's. Oops. I saw it right there, right after I got done with that. Okay. 06. All right. Okay, so the 8s. Ten is off the screen. It's like 1012 comes down here. Oops, down here. There's a 1014. So this is where the high is up in this area. Okay, so let's continue on with the 1010 line here. So that will probably come down out of Canada over here. Oops, there's 1010. Sometimes looking at the station plots and what's going on here, you can kind of sort of make this kind of like dot to dot. If you've ever did all those things when you were a kid. 1012. My guess is we're just going to have a bunch of straight lines based on this. We'll see when I look at the WPC analysis here in a bit. once I get this done. But the 1014 line runs here. Ugh, that's a 12 line. This map is looking ugly. That's a little better. And looks like 18. And then the 20 line. Let's see here. That looks like that's going this way. So we'll start it there. See what we can see here. Looks like it goes up over here and then down into this area. So the high is still... Now, one of the things I think I mentioned before on a previous day is that when we get a Hudson Bay high, so the high would be stationed and centered up in James Bay or southern part of Hudson Bay, that tends to drive a lot of dry air. This particular high is still driving a lot of dry air into our area, but the way it's going to move off, we may end up moistening faster, but we'll see what happens. So that's 20. So let's do the other part of the map here for the low. So let's get the 18s going. And then 16. And I'll do 14. Twelve. 10. Oh, 8. Oh, 6. And there's an 04. And there's an 02. All right, so let's analyze the high, and we will be ready to start putting fronts in here and see where everything is at. So there's 1020. Let's find 1022s. Well, here's some 1022s. Twenty-two, 22, 22. Put a 20 up on this one. All right, so 24. Oh, there is. But that looks like it's going to be it. Nope, I don't see anything. So the high's kind of in there. You could argue that you could put those two together. I didn't. That's just what I chose to do. All right, we're going to put the highs in here. Okay. Now, unlike the last couple of times, we have a very distinct cold front and trough. Okay. Then, let's draw in here closer. Change to red. And, oh yeah, look at that. Okay, so the warm front comes out about here. You can see the wind changes. Let's see here. The wind change here and the wind change here. We go from 64 and 70 to just on the other side of the front into the 50s. And that looks like that's going to go right down about there. So let's do this. Oh, yeah, look at that. You can argue the troughs in this area. Oh, yeah. There we go. And it's on the move. We're going to cover in all the little nubs. Make that go just a little smaller. That'll work. So, now, what I was mentioning earlier on here, and let's see if we can. I don't know if we can do it that way. Maybe I can zoom in on it here in a bit. I think once I'm done drawing on it, and I think I am. Now, so in the past, and I would typically do this, but I'm not sure with the radar if it's all that much, if that's necessary. I would do a NEF analysis on here sometimes, which is where the clouds are. Although the station model plots here don't have cloud coverage in their station models. Their centers are all black. Typically, that would be overcast when it's filled in, and they would have different types of things that signify broken, scattered, or clear. But these are all covered over, so that's the one thing I think Western Region needs to work on as far as this is concerned. Okay, I'm going to hit done on my tablet. So we're now out of the mode here. Let's see if I can find and we'll click on this. Let's see. I don't think I can zoom in or out. No, I'm just going to go up and down if I do anything on here. Okay, so just a couple of things to point out. I wanted to put out here. So here's 39 over 12 and 28 over 17 and 30 over 10 and 32 over 15. So we've got a lot of dry air to work with. So the temperatures are still above freezing, except over here in Alpena. And we can take a look at that. I think I can swipe between. No, I can't. Not with this one. The way this is. This too needs to say done before it'll let me put it out in the front. Now that we kind of seen where most of this is, I'm going to go ahead and click done. All right. And I'll go back to the weather and hazards. Now, the radar on this is updating constantly, so the radar is probably looking a little different than what it was. But I'll get a chance here to also mouse over and use some of this. But I just want to kind of point out the really dry air that we've got here. So here's a temperature dew point of 39 over 12. So the spread is, what is that? 27 degrees. And it gives you a relative humidity of 33%. And here's it says 68%, but still, here's a better one. This is 36%. So they're probably getting some cooler air here in Alpena off of Lake Huron. But the moisture's still roughly the same. It's maybe it's a tad more moist, but still. Oh, and Sault Ste. Marie is now 30/8. So what kind of a dew point? Okay, that's relative humidity about 40%. But still, I mean, we're talking about 22-degree dew point depressions. I mean, those are big. Um, this is 17. This one is 9. Again, Escanaba is suffering the same fate as Alpena with the water temperature keeping it a little cooler, but then the dew point coming up a bit because of moisture coming in off the lake. Same thing for Bad Axe. That area gets a lot of moisture in off the Lake Huron that way. But then you look down here by, see this is Flint, 36/14. So we're looking at 19-degree dew point there. This is 20. Grand Rapids is somewhere around 22 again. So there's a lot of dry air in the lower levels. And to take a quick look at how this is going to go. So here's the model. This is the GFS. This is the bigger American model, the overarching one. Currently, the balloon's in the air. What time is it? Oh, actually, the balloon probably burst, and they probably have the stuff done. So there might the data might be available. We can take a look here for that. Oh, that's not going to do what I thought it was going to do. Oh, maybe I need to be on. Oh, let's do a zoom in to regional. So we'll take the Midwest. So at this point, yep, now I can click and get a sounding. So here we'll put it here near Gaylord. So so this is the current one. So this is what the model was guessing, in a sense. But here we're looking at. So that's a 15-degree dew point depression at the surface, and then you can see this green line, which is the amount of moisture. This is the dew point at different levels. The 850 temperature or dew point is, what is that? About -20 Celsius. And the temperature is somewhere just a hair. It's probably like, this is 0, maybe 2, 3 degrees C, -3 degrees C. So -3 and -20. So that's 17 degrees. And a dew point depression for Celsius. So you're looking at almost 34, 32 degree Fahrenheit temperature. So, or dew point depression. So there's a lot of dry air to be working with. So let us go quickly. Oh, let's close this one. And I'll take a look at the models here in a second. Let's do this. I wasn't planning on doing this, but here we can do this and go to Storm Prediction Center. Let's see if the upper air sounding is in, because that is always fun to look through. Oops, there it is. That's the one I want. Oh, I see it. Boom. And that is, where am I looking at? NSTU. Here we go. This is the one we want. All right. So there it was. So that wasn't a terrible guess that the model had. And it even smoothed out some of the moisture, because here it is. It looks like it's 37/6 when they did the launch this evening, roughly around 7 o'clock, sometime after 7, between 7 and 7:30. And there's a lot of dry air to overcome. It's not that it won't. Let's see what's over in Green Bay. Again, dry air. But down by where it is raining, let's take a quick look here. So that's Davenport. All right, so Davenport, right in the middle of the rain. That's what we're looking for. And well, there's still a 16 degree, but look at this. This is all, they're having a pretty decent amount of moisture there. Though, and the wet bulb, that's that thin blue line there, is just over freezing. So more than likely, they're not going to have freezing rain. They're just going to get rain out of this, which is kind of what the idea is for us as that goes on. Remember, all these places have started their balloon runs roughly at the same time, between 7 and 7:30 Michigan time, but they're all on their own local time. But so that's what the 0Z is for. The sounding for right near the low center. Yeah, there's still a pretty decent little bit amount of dry air right at the surface, and even involved in this. But you're getting lots of rain showers. That's what the radar looked like, and we may be missing some of the. I think all the sig levels look like they're in. Yeah, so there's moisture out there to be working with. And these are more convective soundings the farther out you go. In fact, there's a threat for severe weather out to the south and west near Springfield, Missouri here. So you're looking to, you lift up a little bit here, and then you got to bounce it through this warm nose, and then you can get some more cape out of the thing. Or you could try to lift it. So we'll see what happens with that. That's another discussion in and of itself. So we'll get out of and just to take a look. So there's all the warnings are going right now. Those are some really good severe weather soundings, decent ones at least for severe thunderstorms, which is going on. Which is they have the slight risk. No, we won't get that. We will get. Looks like SPC thinks we're going to get at least some general thunders coming out of this. But the low center is supposed to track somewhere. Well, let's not guess. Let's actually look. What does the model say? So here it is in Norman, Nebraska. Let me move this up just a bit so we can see more of the map. There we go. Okay, and then we'll grab this. So here's 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So this is, all right, 9Z. Whoops. Let's do this then. All right, 6Z is 2 a.m. So there we've got some of the freezing rain moving into the area with snow on the front end and a mix in there as well. And then it goes to freezing rain between 2 and 9Z is 5 a.m. So after 3 hours. And then we move to the next one, and then we've got basically freezing rain across all of northern lower except for the extreme western part of the area. So the warm air is expected to get in here. And then we've got more freezing rain northeast lower, and the warm air is making it across. 15Z is 11 o'clock in the morning local time. So the green is regular rain, non-freezing rain, and all the red is freezing rain. And then by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the GFS says it should be leaving the area. There might be a little bit still left up in the Rogers City, Alpena area, maybe some in Sheboygan. There's going to be some sort of a mix of stuff going on in the UP. Would not be surprised. I know that the models in there, the models were saying that the warm air should get up far enough north that we would get just rain up there, and that would push through. And now here we are at 11 o'clock at night, tomorrow night, and it keeps on keeping warm and just raining like nobody's business. And then the low tracks right up through here. Oh, that was what I wanted to show you. Let's see here. So here we are with it just off of Arcadia there in Manistee County, northern Manistee County. So there, it's going to go across from Nebraska into Iowa, reorganize itself a bit. The model's like jumping this all over the place. And then eventually it's going to emerge somewhere in Illinois, and then up through northern Illinois into southern Lake Michigan, into that's the one I said near Arcadia and Frankfort, and then near Charlevoix, and then just south of the Sioux, almost over Kinross, and then out, and then everything changes to snow. So there we go. So that's what the GFS is saying. Now, one of the models I like to use for lake effect and for some thunderstorm forecasting, this one was last run at 8 a.m. in the morning, and this is the ARW. And so it goes through most of the day dry, and then here we are at 0Z right there. Okay. Still dry. I was telling Mary on our way back from dinner tonight that we had some mid-level clouds moving in. There was all the clouds from everything, and everything should start to thicken up and lower and increase here over through the evening. So we are currently at 3Z, which is 11 o'clock at night. And that's the blue is snow. So like I said, snow on the front end. Then red, there's the freezing rain. And the green is a very showery rain. And then we cool off from a lot of it from that dry air loft. We have that evaporative cooling going on. And that's going on into the morning. So here we are at 7. There's 8 o'clock in the morning. Oops, I went a little too far on that one. There's 8 o'clock in the morning. So we're still getting freezing rain down a good portion of northeast through northern lower. And the warm air is starting to make inroads in so that we're getting just rain. And then things come to an end as far as precipitation, or it gets very showery with a little bit of freezing continuing on into 16Z, 17Z, 18Z. That's 2 p.m. And then it starts to rain, and then it'll get another big slug of rain coming through and up in there. And the warm air should just root out, although it shows it trying to hang on up here in the Sioux for the longest time. Let's see. Just for fun, let's take a look at... Oh, I have to be a +6 subscriber. That is something. Pivotal weather is great. And if I weren't in our current financial situation, I would probably get one of their low-cost hobbyist things so I could get the plus stuff to get some of these extra goodies on here so I can do this stuff from home a little bit more. But so anyways, and that's a really good website if you're looking for weather data. Plus you can just look at the forecast too. NWS forecast, and it gives you the graphic stuff. So, yeah. All right, enough of that one. And the last thing I wanted to look at, oh yes, Weather Prediction Center. So here's the forecast. Day 1, which we are 8 p.m., is weather valid 8 p.m. So Tuesday now through 8 a.m. Wednesday. Fronts depicted at 8 p.m. Tuesday. So here's where everything was at 8 p.m. That's looking pretty good. You know, I had that warm front. Oh, yeah, I forgot to do the trough. So there was a trough, the inverted trough that goes up there. And then the cold front down along into Texas. So what I wanted to look at was the surface analysis. We're going to jump down here to the interactive surface map. This is one of my favorite tools. And this one is the 21Z map. So there we are. We got the low there in Nebraska. We didn't get much farther off to the west, but my guess is that we probably would have seen a little bit more of this detail had we been able to do a little bit wider view. And then the cold front coming out of there. And now they split the cold front, and then they have another low that's over here in New Mexico. But here's the warm front that just kept trailing off. So you can kind of see. We can zoom in a little bit, and you can see that temperature difference. Although this is at 21Z, which is 5 o'clock in the afternoon in Michigan time. So some of these places are in the 60s. Of course, now that it's a little bit later, 3 hours later on that weather map. Yeah, so we're seeing 70s, but now we're seeing 50s out ahead of this thing too. What was Wisconsin, Iowa looking like there? Whoops, that's not it. southern Iowa. Well, they're still in the 50s. So, but you can see they were north of the front, and then the front's coming through here. So, and it's probably moved a little bit farther to the north. And we have that high down the middle, and then there's this low that's up here in the Canadian Maritimes. And no real fronts out there. Yeah, here's that inverted trough. We kind of saw that on the thing. Let's see here. If I can pull that up really quick, I think should be saved on my desktop here. Oh, yep, this should be it. Yep, this is the one I did. So we just pull this over. Oh, now we can flip back and forth using between preview and Safari. So yeah, so I should have done an inverted trough up, put that trough line through here. You can see the winds kind of switching. Even looks like they're trying to force another circulation up here too, but I don't know if that's probably not enough. It's probably more of a surface reflection of upper level jet feature, which I don't have the time to do at this point, but it would be an interesting thing to show you at some point. And let's see. It's currently 9:14. So I don't know if I've been running my mouth for that long, but I have been running it for a while. So I think that with what we have said, hey, Sean, from what I have said on here, it looks like, I went through and I did the map and we ran through. If you missed all that here on the live, you can always run back to the very beginning as I shut things down here, and you can listen to the forecast issues that are going on, so that I don't take up everybody's time. Oh yeah, the DSS packet. So we do have the winter storm or the ice storm warning and a winter weather advisory. That's the purple. This lighter, that's what I would consider purple, and this is fuchsia, maroon. I don't know. I'm sure I'll get flack for that. And here's the ice thoughts. A tenth to a quarter here for through tomorrow morning, and then the tenth to a quarter moves on to the east side of the state here for the during the day on Tuesday or Wednesday, so that when you add it all together, you've got this nice little area corridor of possibly a quarter or more inches of ice, a quarter inch or more of ice through that time period. So just keep that in mind over the next few hours. Things may be slow moving in your area. It just depends on how fast you cool off and how much precipitation falls. And I think that is where I will leave it. I'm going to move this out of my way and get OBS back up in front of me. And I'm going to say, have a good night.